All right, Maxwell, if that is your full name. Um,
It is.
you never know. Anytime I like make a joke about that or someone's full name, I think of the Family Guy scene when someone says, "Hey Megan, what did you call me? Megan. That's your full name, right?" "Oh, no, it's actually not." And Peter crosses out
Megatron.
Megan and writes Megatron as her full name. Anyway, that's how we're starting this segment. So, let's start with one breakout guy, someone who was on the roster last year that you think is poised for at least a noticeable increase in playing time or production this year.
I'm going to go with Devin Jackson at
Oh, I like
linebacker.
that pick.
I think I've just heard a lot of really good things about him. He legitimately might be the fastest player on the team, at least not, if not one of the fastest players. I think he's a really good fit for what Dan Lanning wants the linebacker position to become moving forward. Just flying around, lateral quickness side to side. I think he plays with a lot of intensity and explosion. So I think that Devin Jackson is someone that has been on the team for a couple of years now. He signed with the Ducks in the 2022 class out of the lovely state of Nebraska, and has an extensive track background. So I think anytime you get a track guy in there at linebacker, you have to get super excited about just the speed that he can play with. Because all the best linebackers, it feels like in today's game, Spencer, can really cover ground. And I don't think that that's something that we at Oregon are used to seeing super consistently pre Dan Lanning. You had some good athletes in there, don't get me wrong, like a Noah Sewell, if you will, but I don't think that they've been the caliber and the fit that a Devin Jackson maybe has.
I think Justin Flo could have been if he had been healthy and like that on an individual level. There are a lot of what ifs in Oregon football and Oregon athletics, but what if for individual players, what if Justin Flo had stayed healthy and really, gotten the opportunity to grasp what he needed to succeed in college football? Because I don't think he ever really got that. And the one game that he was healthy, like he missed all of 2020, which is the class he was recruited in with Noah Sewell and Dante Manning. They were the headline recruits, and that Dante Manning is still around at Oregon is kind of crazy, but that's where we're at. The one healthy game, Justin Flo had 14 tackles and I think 2 forced fumbles. He had at least one that ended up winning the game for the Ducks against Fresno State, then coached by this guy named Kalen DeBoer. You may know him. He's down at Alabama nowadays. I like the Devin Jackson pick a lot. Oregon played really 5 linebackers last year. It's a 4-2-5 base personnel, but you rotate guys in and out or players get dinged up, and Oregon had 5 backers that played a good amount last year. And, Justin Jacobs being hurt was one of the reasons why. So last year you had Justin Jacobs and Jeff Bossa and Bryce Boettcher and Jamal Hill and Devin Jackson. They all played meaningful snaps consistently. And so I think that number is going to be in that same range this year. And I think Jackson is solidly the number 3 linebacker in this room. I think it's Bossa and Jacobs at the top. I don't think there's a lot of argument there, as good as Jackson could be. But if Bossa goes down or if Bossa has to come out of the game or just needs a break, I think Jackson is a guy that could slide in. So I like that pick, which makes me excited to hear your second breakout player prediction.
All right, I have 2 people in mind because I don't know if my first answer is
Okay.
going to qualify. And this might sound weird to say, but is it okay to say Jordan James, or has he already broken out?
I think that is fair. I think that's fair. I think it's fair given the criteria that I laid out. Somebody who was on the team last year, who is poised for an increase, like a noticeably larger role this year. And James last season ran for, what was it, like 700 yards or so? He's probably going to be 1,000-yard rusher. I mean, I think Noah Whittington is fantastic. He's coming off an injury, and hopefully,
759.
how many?
759.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he goes past that. So in that sense, like he's definitely not flying under the radar or anything. I think everybody's pretty well aware. But yeah, I mean, Jordan James is 1,000-yard rusher. I can see that this season.
I think, yeah, I could definitely see it. And I mean, the buzz around Jordan James that I've been hearing has really dated back to, I mean, even before last season, when he had a relatively smaller role in his true freshman year in 2022. So I think for him, I think that we're going to see the rest of the college football world is going to see that Jordan James is an NFL caliber back. I think that's the kind of season that he's going to have. I mean, the dude averaged 8.5 yards a pop last year, which is crazy. I think that I really liked what we saw from him as a receiver, as a pass catcher in the Pac-12.
Very capable, very capable.
I think that's another area of his game that's gonna step up. So I didn't know if that was like already an established enough guy, but I am super stoked about just the next step that we're gonna see in the Jordan James evolution.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to have some, Heisman caliber campaign where he runs for 1,800 to 2,000 yards and breaks all these records or anything like that, because Noah Whittington is going to have a sizable role in the offense. Like it'll be, maybe it's RB1 and RB2. I think at times it could feel 1A, 1B because I think they're different runners. And I think that, Bucky Irving and Jordan James were different styles of runners. And so Lanning has talked in the past about kind of playing the hot hand and seeing who's, got the feel, who's seeing the field really well. And I think that when you have guys with two different styles, that lends itself even more towards playing a backfield of, hey, he's really feeling it against this defense. We're gonna give Whittington 20 carries and only give James 12. And there were times last year, the Pac-12 title game, for instance, you and I were talking about it up in the press box. We're looking at the game going, man, James should play more than Bucky. Like they got Bucky bottled up right now. And James, it still baffled me a little bit as well, and I'm sure many Oregon fans, so I could see that. But now I'm also curious, who was the other guy you were going to list if I had shut down your Jordan James option?
I was going to say Sadiq.
Okay, yeah, like he was my number one.
He's kind of an easy choice at this point, but I don't think that the casual fan can really understand just the level of athlete that they have in Kenyon Sadiq, another
Freakish
dude who's just ripping crazy numbers on the GPS, that they use to track these guys' speed. He had that picture, I think it was like the last week of spring ball where he was hurdling somebody. So I'm pretty stoked about that.
He's like bulked up.
Yeah, he's like 240 now. So he's really changed his body, and I think that an emergence or breakout from him really couldn't come at a better time for Oregon because they're going to be without Terrence Ferguson and Patrick Herbert in 2025. So he's someone that I'm super excited about. I was also maybe going to say Jay Harris, but he wasn't on the team last year. So he kind of got voted out.
Yeah. No, these are guys. I just think that it's interesting to look at who's stuck around, frankly, because guys have the option to transfer, and these guys have stuck around for a reason, and I think we're going to see what they can put on display. Max Torres, the Ducks Dish podcast. You can read his work over at scoopduck.com. Max, love having you on the show as always, my guy. First, we're talking about FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Everything you could want to bet for Oregon right now is over there. The only game on the board is Ohio State, plus 1.5 at home. I like the Ducks to win that outright. I take Oregon on the money line there. And you can also bet Oregon's win total, 10.5. ESPN's FPI that we were talking about earlier thinks Oregon is going to get 10.8 wins this year, making it more likely than not that Oregon goes 11-1 than 10-2. Their win total on FanDuel is 10.5. So if you like the under, you can bet that. If you like the over, you can bet that as well. Everything you want for college football and more is over at FanDuel. So check them out at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every playoff shot count. FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.